For months, the distant spacecraft Voyager 1 was silent, not quiet, not fading gently with age, but silent in a way that felt absolute. A silence deeper than mechanical failure. Deeper than distance. Deeper than expectation. It was the kind of silence that does not feel like an absence of signal, but like something has been cut off at the root, as if a long-running conversation between humanity and the cosmos had suddenly stopped mid-sentence. For the scientists who had followed Voyager's journey for nearly half a century, that silence carried a strange emotional weight. This was not just a machine. It was the farthest extension of human curiosity, a crafted messenger sent into the dark when the world itself was still learning how to think in digital terms. Voyager was launched in 1977, an era that now feels almost unreal in comparison to the present day. There were no smartphones, no constant global networks, no instant digital communication. The Internet did not exist in any public form. Information moved slowly, deliberately, and often physically. It was a time of slide rules, paper charts, and handwritten calculations. Engineers worked with ink, patience, and repetition. Every equation was checked not by automated systems, but by human discipline. Inside laboratories, computers were massive machines, filling entire rooms. They blinked with rows of lights, spun magnetic tapes, and consumed stacks of punched cards. By today's standards, they were primitive, yet they carried out some of the most ambitious calculations ever attempted by humanity. It was on these machines that Voyager's destiny was shaped. The spacecraft was not designed in an era of certainty. It was built in a time when space exploration was still experimental, when every launch was a gamble between success and complete loss. A single malfunction could erase years of effort in seconds. The engineers understood this risk intimately. Voyager was assembled with extraordinary care. Every wire was placed manually. Every component was tested again and again. Every connection was sealed with the understanding that once it left Earth, there would be no repair, no recovery, and no second chance. Voyager would travel alone. Its onboard intelligence was not artificial in the modern sense of adaptability. It was fixed software, written line by line, encoded into memory that could not be rewritten once launched. It was a machine built to endure without change, and somehow, against expectation, it did. At the heart of this mission was something deeply symbolic, a golden record. This was not a scientific instrument. It was not a data system. It was a message. A physical archive of Earth, designed to speak for humanity in case the spacecraft was ever encountered by something beyond our world. It carried sounds, images, and languages chosen to represent life on Earth. Rain falling on soil. Wind through trees. Thunder. Music from many cultures. Greetings spoken in dozens of human languages. It also carried something quieter than data, intention. A simple statement that humanity existed, and had chosen to reach outward. No reply was expected. It was not a conversation. It was a gesture sent into eternity. As Voyager drifted farther from Earth, it passed the giant planets that once appeared as faint points of light in telescopes. Jupiter revealed storms larger than entire worlds. Saturn unfolded its rings in extraordinary detail. Moons that had never been seen before emerged into view, reshaping what scientists believed about the outer solar system. Each encounter expanded human understanding, rewriting textbooks that had barely been written. Eventually, Voyager approached a boundary unlike any it had crossed before. The edge of the Sun's influence. This region is known as the heliosphere, a vast invisible bubble created by solar wind and magnetic fields. It acts as a protective shield, deflecting high-energy radiation from deep space and shaping the environment in which Earth exists. For billions of years, life on Earth has evolved beneath this shield without directly sensing its presence. When Voyager crossed the outer boundary of this region, known as the heliopause, it did not experience a gradual transition. There was no slow fading of conditions. It was a sharp change, almost like stepping through an invisible threshold. Inside the heliosphere, the sun's influence dominates. Outside it, the environment belongs to the galaxy. Charged particles from distant explosions began striking the spacecraft. Magnetic fields shifted in unpredictable patterns. Radiation levels increased dramatically. Voyager had entered interstellar space. For a long time, interstellar space was imagined as empty. A vast vacuum separating stars. A silent nothingness stretching endlessly in every direction. Voyager revealed a different reality. Interstellar space is not empty. It is structured. It is filled with plasma, ionized gas shaped by ancient stellar explosions. It is threaded with magnetic fields that ripple and twist like invisible currents. It contains radiation that moves through space in patterns that resemble weather systems on a cosmic scale. Rather than a void, it behaves more like an ocean. Particles drift like tides. Magnetic structures flow like currents. Waves of energy propagate across distances so vast they defy intuitive understanding. Over time, Voyager began to map this environment in a way no telescope ever could. Not by observing from afar, but by moving through it. Then, after decades of steady operation, something changed. In late 2023, the signal began to degrade. Data arrived distorted. Measurements became scrambled. Information that once flowed cleanly into structured telemetry turned into fragmented patterns and noise. Eventually, communication broke down entirely. Voyager had not stopped transmitting, but its message could no longer be understood. The cause was traced to a corrupted memory component inside its flight data system, likely damaged by a high-energy cosmic ray. A single particle from a distant astrophysical event had struck the spacecraft's electronics, disrupting its ability to process information correctly. It was a reminder of the very forces Voyager was sent to study. From 15 billion miles away, engineers faced an extraordinary challenge. There was no physical access, no hardware repair, no direct intervention. The spacecraft existed beyond reach, in a region where communication delays stretched to nearly a full day in each direction. Every command required more than 22 hours to arrive. Another 22 hours to confirm whether it worked. Each step had to be planned with extreme precision. One mistake could permanently end the mission. Engineers began carefully rerouting data through backup systems that had not been used in decades. These systems were never intended to take over full operation, yet they became the only path forward. Slowly, the spacecraft responded. Bit by bit, structure returned to the signal. Engineering data reappeared. Scientific instruments resumed function. After months of uncertainty, the connection was restored. And then, something unexpected emerged. Voyager began detecting faint oscillations in the interstellar medium. Not sound in the traditional sense, because space has no air. But vibrations within plasma, low-frequency waves generated by distant cosmic activity. A kind of resonance filled the environment around the spacecraft. It was described by scientists as a hum, not audible, but measurable. A subtle background vibration shaped by shockwaves from ancient supernovae, drifting magnetic structures, and large-scale motion of ionized gas across the galaxy. This was not silence. It was structure without sound. A form of cosmic motion that exists beyond human senses, but not beyond measurement. Voyager had entered a region where space itself behaves dynamically, where energy moves through invisible frameworks shaped by forces that span light years. The discovery reshaped expectations. Interstellar space was no longer just a boundary region. It was an environment with complexity, layers, and patterns that continue to evolve. Voyager continues its journey, moving deeper into this unknown region with each passing year. Its systems remain active. Its instruments continue to listen. Its antenna still points back toward Earth, sending faint signals across unimaginable distance. And still, it carries the golden record, drifting silently through the galaxy with its archive of Earth's sounds, waiting for no one in particular, yet speaking nonetheless. It may never reach another star. It may never be recovered. It may simply continue onward, long after Earth itself has changed beyond recognition. But in its quiet persistence, it represents something extraordinary. A single human-made object traveling through interstellar space, recording the structure of the galaxy from within, and continuing to exist far beyond the world that created it. A reminder that even in the deepest darkness, connection does not fully disappear. It only becomes harder to hear.